Being an independent artist might sound like fun. You just release your songs, promote them, and hope that people will find your music and become your core fan base. And within few years, you'll be performing in the biggest festivals and going on international tours. But see, there is a catch. You may be an independent artist who has just released few songs and are wondering how will you break it into the music industry, or you're just starting out and all you believe is that only making good music will help you get to the top. Well, I have some news for you, but it may or may not trigger you because I will talk about things that no one openly talks about the music industry, and just gonna give you a reality check of what it is like to be an independent artist when you're from India. It is not as glamorous as you may think it is. Hello beautiful people, I'm Shubham Kundu. I'm a singer-songwriter and a producer from Nagpur. I have a band called Cinnamon Cigars. I'll add Spotify links of both of these down in the description. So give or take whatever I'll talk about in this video, everything comes from my own experience and my understanding of this. Just a warning before I start that I'm no way claiming that I'm an expert in this topic, because I believe I still have a lot of learning to do. I'm just making this video for the people who are in the place where I was like about 2 or 3 years back. Like when you're filled with confidence, you have all the energy, you have good music, but you lack the knowledge of how the music industry works. Firstly, what is an independent artist? Simply put, an independent artist, or sometimes referred as the indie artist, are musicians or performers who are not assigned or associated with any of the biggest record labels like Sony, Warner, Universal Music, and all of these musicians write, produce and distribute their own songs on their own. Independent artists usually have all the control over how the music will sound, what will be the album art of the songs. Basically, independent artists can enjoy a lot of freedom when compared to a record label signed artist. While independent artists may have a way smaller budget and way smaller exposure when you compare to the bigger artists who are signed with bigger record labels, but mostly independent artists value the freedom of creating the music that they want over these exposures. But independent artists in India's context, the definition is kinda different. Okay, this will be interesting. Let's search independent artists from India on Google. Okay, independent artists India. Let's see what comes up. Pratik Kuhad. Okay, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Pratik Kuhad's music, but he's nowhere close to being an independent artist. In fact, he's signed with a record label. It's called Elketra Record, which comes under Warner Music, one of the big three. And the next we have here is Anuv Jain. And about Anuv Jain, Wikipedia says he is an indie song artist. But in reality, Anuv Jain is actually signed with one of the biggest talent management in India, which is called Represent, which is run by Ayushmann Sinha. Represent also manages artists like MC Stan, Kashmir, Arman Malik, and a lot of other bigger artists. That literally means for each song these independent artists release, they have abundance of resources, huge funding, and the main factor, direct contacts. So if they call themselves independent artists and you and I also call ourselves independent artists, what are the chances that we will make it into the music industry? It's almost like you're running a 400-meter sprint race, but your opponent is riding a sports bike. I mean, that's just not fair. So for India, you are an independent artist if you're perceived as an independent artist, or the record labels have made you look like an independent artist. I know it is quite tricky. Okay, so recently we all have heard about Rihanna's performance at Ambani's pre-wedding. But later I got to know that a lot of Americans were pissed about that. I was like, why? And then I found out, if you don't count the 15 minutes Super Bowl halftime show Rihanna did and the Lift Me Up performance at the Oscars she did in 2023, this pre-wedding gig marks Rihanna's first proper concert after November 2016 when her anti-world tour wrapped up in Abu Dhabi. That literally means that millions of people have been waiting to see Rihanna perform for 7 years, and she also has a fan base who will pay top dollars just to see her perform. But she would rather perform for one person who can pay the price for it. Now that means even for Rihanna, who doesn't want to do shows anymore, there still exists a price point that you can make her want to perform. This means that everything in this world is slowly being commoditized, especially in the music industry, because there may be thousands of artists who write good music and are authentic with their work, but they may not be financially backed up. And on the other hand, there may be artists who may not be as talented as the other artists, but they might have a good financial background and solid connections in the music industry. industry. In such scenarios, music platforms and music magazines have a choice to either support and feature the artists who are good at their work or directly support the artists who can help their pockets. Now you can tell me who they end up supporting. See, being an independent artist is really tough, and when you look from the outside, people only assume that you just write songs and release them. But in reality, being an independent artist, you have to do a lot more work than what meets the eye. I think about independent artists' role as being hands of the octopus. This is a very interesting concept that I've learned from the biggest tech YouTuber MKBHD.
In order to do it well at a high level, it's a lot of different jobs in one. This applies to a lot of creative industries. But as a tech YouTuber, for example, you have to be a professional product tester, a professional writer if you're scripting your stuff, a professional video producer, you're a professional on-camera talent now too, you're a professional editor, and you have to manage all the inbox and the sponsor deals, you are the financial accountant, you are the products, the strategist for all the content. It's a lot.
And independent artists constantly juggle their roles between writing new music, marketing their songs, being active on social media, and also actively making connections into the industry, and on top of that, also making sure that their mental health is in place. Now, despite of the relentless hustle, the dominance of the big three still makes it very hard for independent artists to break it into the industry. Because these big record labels have started making their smaller record labels, which they call as indie labels, through which they have directly started signing independent artists and promoting these artists with all the resources and the contacts that the parent label has. Now see, the problem with this is when an upcoming artist sees such independent artists getting so much support and blooming into the scene, these upcoming artists start getting a false hope that even they can make it into the scene. But they fail to understand that what looks so beautiful from the outside, it is actually quite complicated from the inside. The reality is that many indie labels formed by these bigger record labels ask artists to sign the contracts, which is obviously usually in the favor of the bigger labels. Now these contracts are very unique to each indie labels, but overall you can expect that they take hefty cuts from the royalties and take away most of the rights from the master recording. This happens because indie labels are aware that if one artist is not ready to give away the rights to their music, there are hundreds of other artists who will happily give away all the rights. This lack of awareness and understanding can lead independent artists into a situation that they lose a lot of control over how their music is being made and how the song is marketed later. Now, to build a fan base, the main form of exposure is through playlists. These are the playlists on platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, and other music platforms, and these playlists are usually curated by their in-house editorial teams. Basically, these are the kinds of playlists that comes on top when a consumer opens an application, directly increasing the chances of discoverability of the song. But guess what? Out of all the songs that can be featured on such editorial playlists, you can expect that 60 to 80% of all these songs are directly booked for songs that are signed with the big three, that is Sony, Universal, and Warner Music. Now, for example, recently I came across this woman band from India which is called Wish. Now, because they are signed with Sony Music and are backed with huge contacts, they ended up getting huge supports literally on their first release. They ended up on magazine covers, press releases, interviews, and also some of the biggest playlists across all the streaming platforms. I was watching one of their interviews and apparently this is what their band's name mean.
I want to know, what does Wish stand for and what does it mean to you guys specifically?
So Wish stands for World Inca Stage Hai. It's also a play on the word Vish in Hindi, which means poison. We can be your wish come true, but if you mess with us, we can be poisonous.
No comments. Okay, and wait for it. There are these lines in the song which goes like, मैं एक ऐसी चीज हूँ बिल्कुल लजीज हूँ.
Women get labeled all the time. Everyone gets labeled all the time, not just girls and stuff like that. So it's kind of like taking that power back a little and saying, we will label ourselves whatever we want to. So we'll call ourselves sexy, all the good things.
Awesome.
You're like projecting that deliciousness and everything that's savory
To
like,
ourselves.
to
Yeah.
ourselves
Yeah.
onto the screen.
So
Self-empowerment.
How does this correlate with women empowerment? I'm telling you, this particular interview was very painful to watch. But the point being, even without releasing a single song before this, they're still getting a massive coverage in spite of making at best a decent song. Okay, but please don't be discouraged, because I know so far it may feel like only the rich and the powerful take it all, but it won't be true for you if you're consistently learning new things and working towards improving your skills every freaking day. So here are few things that I would suggest you to do. Firstly, be consistent and learn to manage your time, because when you release your songs constantly and actively engage with your audience, you will eventually start making a fan base, no matter how small that will be. Not only that, given that independent artists have to do so many roles like promoting your songs, bringing new gigs for you, being active on social media, being consistent, you can give each of these roles a proper time. Now consistency can help you, especially when you're starting out, because in the beginning everything seems so overwhelming. I know, I understand that, because I went through the same. When you're starting out, writing the song and promoting them feels like a huge deal, but trust me, when you're working on them every day in smaller bits, it is going to get very easier in the long run. Next will be, don't just release music, plan them. Now this is one of the most common problem I've seen with independent artists, that they are very negligent when it comes to marketing or promoting their songs. Because I see a lot of artists relying heavily on a misconception that if they keep on making good music, eventually something good will happen with them. And in the name of promotion, these artists will just put one post saying, out now. See, that's not how it works.
It's something I'm noticing a lot with the generation right under me is like, I don't know if they too cool or they don't want to look thirsty or they're not proud of their, but like they'll put a song out, they'll put it in their story, and that's it. And you mean to tell me that you're gonna be passive with your own and just put it on your story once? Are you fucking crazy, bro?
That is where promoting yourself and marketing your work comes very handy. Like, think about music promotion in a way that you're not asking them to stream your songs, but you want people to be curious enough about your song that they want to stream your songs. Like, why should they be listening to your song? You know, like, try thinking something out of the box. Don't just go on social media and be like, new song is here, go stream and support. Bring something new to the table. And next will be, focus more on building a fan base and an audience than streaming numbers. I understand that as an artist, we are sometimes bound to compare ourselves with other artists who have huge numbers, but trust me, that is the most wrong way to look at such things. Because let's say there is an artist who has like millions and millions of streams, but that doesn't guarantee that that particular artist has a fan base who will actually buy the tickets and see them perform live, or their audience will buy their merch. I'm saying this because you can always buy streams, you can always buy new followers, but you can never really practically buy someone's loyalty or love for your music. So look for ways beyond numbers to evaluate your success. I guess that's it for this video. And if you like such informative videos on music industry or music production and mixing, you can consider subscribing to my channel and give a like on this video. By the way, have you ever wondered why most of the viral songs around us are mostly bad? You can check it out here. Buzz, 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 buzz. Bus, 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 bus.